Information that came from the chief of police himself. Part of the evidence that was gathered, of course, had something to do with the results of the autopsy coming from the crime laboratory, scene of the crime operatives team. And these were the ones responsible for providing the chief of police what else needs to be sort of presented to the prosecutor the moment they file the inquest case.
Sir, what can you of one of those who were in the party with Cristine? Ito po, I can mention na po na kasi nasa TV na po, yung si Claire de la Fuente po, yung anak niya andun po sa party. He was one of those who found Cristine in the bathtub. They released po a copy of the autopsy report. Authentic po ba yun?
We leave it to the crime laboratory to share the authenticity of that document. But insofar as the chief of police is concerned, this is a form of disinformation because insofar as that document is concerned, this is supposed to be confidential. And no one could probably obtain any of the copies coming from the crime lab because it has something to do with the crime that has happened. Tell the truth about that document that came out through the social media.
Sir, the family though is requesting for another autopsy saying na baka may nag-trigger po ng aneurysm ni Cristine like the alleged assault or if there are drugs placed in her drink. Your reaction to this, sir?
All conceivable idea as regards the nature of the case itself, all the surrounding facts, all the things that probably may have been obtained by the police will be considered. We do not want to create an impression that only a particular finding would serve as basis of the police to say that indeed a crime has been committed, especially with regard to rape. So we'd rather that the family probably might also think that there is a need for them to get another expert's opinion by having another autopsy and all that. That's their right. Insofar as the police is concerned, this will still serve as basis for the presentation of the evidence to the court.
Sir, meron na po bang toxicology report?
Yes, ma'am, that's right. There was, in fact, coming from the chief of police, a report that there were bottles found in the room. There was intoxication, and apparently, based on the chief of police narrative, someone probably might have placed something in the glass of wine of Miss Cristine, and that in fact resulted in her feeling dizzy afterwards.
Sir, but that's based on observation, ano po, and all from what people are saying who were in the party. Pero yung toxicology report, sir, meron na po ba from the samples taken from Cristine?
That actually has been reported by the chief of police himself. Indeed, yes, that's right.
So ano po results nung toxicology report on Cristine?
We'd rather await the information coming from no less than the chief of police, the investigators at the least.
Okay, sir. Can we talk about the CCTV footage, sir, of what happened a few hours before Cristine Decera was found unconscious in the hotel bathtub? Have you seen the CCTV footage?
I haven't seen it yet, ma'am, completely. I just saw it through the news. But this definitely would form part of the pieces of evidence gathered by the police. And that, in fact, created the idea that those people who came to the room were identified one after another. And this served actually as basis of the police to file a case against them. Circumstantial evidence dictates that in as much as you came or you were there in the room, there is the likelihood or the probability that you were part of whatever it is that may have happened right there inside the room.
Sir, I'd just like to go back to the autopsy report. Ano that was that's now circulating on social media. Sabi po doon, Cristine was embalmed already bago po yung autopsy report po. So, yung may mga medical experts po who are saying on social media that hindi po ba dapat hindi pa siya na-embalm dahil po dapat po may autopsy muna, dapat she should have been examined first. What do you think of this, sir? Do you see something irregular?
I really am not at liberty to share with you what actually happened insofar as the forensic examination is concerned, in particular embalming and all that. We leave it to the information coming from the chief of police, from the crime laboratory, from the investigators who are still doing some sort of generating pieces of evidence from the scene of the crime. What matters now is there is a body of crime, hostility, so to speak, and this will serve as basis to say that indeed there is a foul play based on the contusions, the lacerations, and all that. Although some would say that this may have been a result of the drunkenness coming from the lady, but all this will have to be considered. But at the end of the day, because there were people there and somebody died, then they just have to be considered as suspects.
So, sir, what is the status of the case now? Because an earlier statement by the...
Suspects have already been identified. Some, in fact, were arrested. I guess there were 3. And the case has actually been filed with the prosecutor. The evidence was presented, so this is considered solved. But this has not been closed yet. Of course, it will take quite a time for us to consider a case that is closed on the basis of the proceedings that will happen in court. So only the case has already been solved, but not yet closed.
Sir, finally, how is the PNP implementing the directive of PNP Chief General Debold Sinas? We understand may ultimatum na po siya for the suspects to surrender.
That actually is a call for them to really surrender themselves in as much as they already have been identified. That 72-hour is enough for us to also await the issuance of warrant of arrest coming from the court itself, because the inquest case has already been filed. This is, I guess, similar to what happened to Nuesca, that eventually the commitment order was issued by the court following the filing of the case by the prosecutor. That 72 hours is enough for us to eventually hunt them down once the one is to hunt them down if the warrant of arrest is issued.
Thank you for your time, sir. PNP spokesperson, Brigadier General Ildebrand.